Hello students, welcome back to the chemistry revision class, which is brought to you by IOTA virtual learning platform. I am your chemistry tutor, Olabisi Olawoye, and today I want to look at an important topic in chemistry, which is the scientific method. This is a carefully selected topic based on the WAEC syllabus, so I will advise you to pay attention, and if there's any challenge, let me know at the end of the class. I want to commend your effort in following the series of teachings that we have done, and I pray that success shall be your portion in Jesus' name. Today we are treating scientific method, and at the end of this class you will know the meaning of scientific method, the steps involved in scientific methods, the difference between theory and hypothesis, theories and laws, the difference between laws and principle as well, then how to make theory or develop a theory, law or principle, and also you will learn how to analyze data and draw conclusions, and the importance of this method in chemistry practical as a whole. So what do we mean by the term scientific method? The scientific method is a process of establishing facts through testing and experimentation. You saw a particular issue, which is a problem, identifying a problem, then you identify the problem. It's not actually a problem, but you notice that something happened, or you saw a new development, and it's actually a problem to a scientist, and then the scientists decide to carry out tests and experimentation to establish a fact on that problem. So most of the newly developed things around us as a result of series of steps and the research that has been done by scientists before they could come up with a theory. Most of the materials are even produced, metals, non-metals, the use of the production of alloys to make aeroplane, and some other developments around us, developments in the transportation industry, in the food industries, are based on series of experimentations and established facts. So this method is very, very important. It is actually a series of steps that is followed by scientific investigators to answer specific questions about the natural world, and it is not compulsory that all scientists must stick to each of these steps, though the background of all experimentation, the background of discovering things is still based on this. This method is still the background of every scientific work or investigations. So what are the steps in a scientific method? Because it's a series of steps. So what are those steps? The first thing I said earlier is to identify a problem. You identify a problem, and then you start asking questions. Why is it that I threw a corn, a seed of or a plant I threw it outside, and maybe it was a waste, and then after some days I started seeing green plants germinating from the spot where I poured those things. And then you begin to ask questions. What is responsible for this thing, this new discovery? Then you can now do background research, and then already you have some answers, but you're not sure. Then you construct an hypothesis. And what do we mean by hypothesis? Hypothesis is not the major fact or law. It is a reasonable explanation or a reasonable guess. You are guessing, but you're not sure yet of your answers. You are not sure because you've not subjected this fact or this statement, not a fact yet, to experiment. And I'm going to be using an example here. You want to know what causes the growth of plants, speedy growth of plants. And you notice that there are times that when you throw seeds or you throw grains outside, grains of maize or other cereals outside during the dry season, or when the weather is harsh, there is no growth, there is no rapid growth, nothing will come up. But at a point, we will just realize that maybe during the rainy season, something started coming up. You start seeing green grasses around you. Even some maize plants are started germinating, being planted, and you're wondering, maybe you've been pouring your waste outside, and then you started seeing some things, green grass coming up, and you're not sure. Now, could it be that they have added a chemical to that particular spot that made those things to come up, or water, which is a rainfall, is what is responsible for this growth of plants? You are not sure yet, so you need to carry out an experiment, and you already have a background research. Just like I said, you have found out that I think during the dry season this was not like this was not like this. What did you pour here? Did you add any other thing? And then when trying to make research, you also construct an hypothesis that, okay, the hypothesis will be like water, rainfall helps in the germination of plants, or water helps in the germination of plants. Then you subject your hypothesis, which is a reasonable guess or statement, you subject it to experiments. Now what we do is this: you can get 3 bottles of plants, of 3 bottles filled with loamy soil. That's you have the loamy soil in the 3 containers. One will be, or let's say 2, one will be a control experiment, while the other one will be what you are watching, I mean the one that contains the parameter you are watching out for. Okay, for instance, now you have the first container, you put your seed or your grain inside. It could be a bean or maize grain, and you dip it inside the loamy soil, and then you cover it up, and then you expose it, place it at your corridor where it will not be exposed to water from the rainwater. Then the other container too, you can put your maize or grain there, and then you put it inside the same loamy soil of another container, and then you place them side by side. You may decide to use rainfall or use water it by yourself. So take for instance that we may decide to use any source of water. It could be rainfall or adding water. So preferably we can place the container outside, expose it, while the other one is indoor. So we watch the 2 for days, and then we see the rate at which the plants germinate. So the first thing here is to test your hypothesis with an experiment. And the next thing, procedure. Check if your procedures are working. If your procedures are working, that is yes. You will move to analyzing data and drawing conclusion. That is, you test the experiment, subject 1 to rainfall, the other one inside. If at the end, the one under the rain or outside, exposed to rainfall, starts growing speedily, the green plant there starts growing speedily, and the other one has a stunted growth, the growth is slow, because of other factors that are there as well, it will still grow, but the growth will be slow, like the presence of the loamy soil. But in that case, if yes, you can analyze your data and be like, okay, the sample A, increase in growth was recorded. Sample B, speedy increase in growth was also repeated, and draw your conclusion that the container that was exposed, the plant that was exposed to rainfall, grew speedily compared to the first one, showing that water is an integral plant in plant growth. So you have analyzed and drawn conclusion. You can check if your results align with your hypothesis, the statement that was made earlier, that maybe water is an integral part of plant growth, that it helps, a major factor in plant growth. So if your results now align with the hypothesis, that is, it correlates with the hypothesis, you can communicate your results by sending journals or it could be online, or when you attend seminars. It could be other topics you work on. This is a pattern that scientists follows in order for them to establish a fact and make a theory. Now, what you have just made there is a theory that, okay, water helps plants to grow. So this theory can still be built upon to get by other scientists or by you to get a law or principle. So it is after theories has been subjected to series of tests that we get laws or principles. And if otherwise, assuming the procedure did not work, that is no, you go back to the test, carefully check all steps and setup, and if no, check the hypothesis back and adjust then before you come back to these steps. Now, if after drawing conclusions and analyzing data, your results align partially, or it does not align with at all with the hypothesis, after checking your results, you notice that both the plants outside and the one inside, they grew at the same speed or at the same rate, then it shows that your results, your hypothesis is not correct. So you can cancel the hypothesis or adjust the hypothesis. And this experimental data that you have gotten can be a background research for new future projects. You can still ask new questions, that is, ask new questions and form new hypotheses again, then experiment again and go back to these steps until you get your theory, then your law or principle. So this is a step. But there is an important part here that I want you to take note of as a student, which is how to record as a scientist. You as a biology student, as a chemistry student, as a physics student, you are expected to know how to record properly. Scientists do a lot of reporting. They write reports because from the report they get their data and draw conclusion. So the format to follow in writing reports are: you write your aim or title to test if water helps plants to grow. Then the materials or reagents required, those chemicals or materials that you use will be under this. Then the procedure means the steps followed. The same thing is applicable in chemistry. Maybe you are working with titration. Under your titration, you are to bear in mind that all procedures must be strictly followed, though you are not going to write the procedures down. The materials used must be taken note of and well handled. Then the aim must be at the back of your mind, and it can also be written down. You are testing for the volume of acid that we neutralize a base. And then your observation is what you also check out for. Is there any color change at the end of the experiment? What is the volume of acid that was used to neutralize a fixed volume of a base? Then you draw conclusion. That is where you work under your calculation. You do your tables of readings, then you calculate, and then from there you can use your values, your tables of reading, that's your titer value, to get so many other information like molar concentration, mass concentration, even the number of water of crystallization, or solubility, or purity, percentage purity of such compound, and so on and so forth. So it is very important as a science student to follow this trend whenever you are recording in scientific method. So in summary, the 6 steps of scientific methods are observation. After observing and identifying a problem, then you ask questions. After asking questions, then you formulate hypothesis, which is a reasonable guess but not an established fact. Then after the hypothesis, you subject your hypothesis to experiment, and then you analyze your result after the experiment and draw conclusion. So from this, we could see that there's a difference between law and theory. A theory is the explanation of why a process occurs. A very good example of a theory is Dalton's atomic theory. Dalton's atomic theories was later modified. It was later modified based on the new discoveries. So it is not the final. Theory is not the final. It can be worked on to get the scientific law or principle. So a law is a description of the phenomenon observed. Like the Newton's laws of motion, for instance. A scientific law is formed from a theory after carrying out various experiments on the theory. It is a statement that explains the working of a process. Because at that point, after carrying out a series of experiments, you are sure or double sure of the steps of how the process worked. But the theory is just the explanation of why a process occurred, but not, it may not be a well-established fact. It is when our theory is communicated that other scientists, through journals, online, through seminars, that other scientists can also pick it up, work on it. So I will encourage you as students to also have this mindset of discovering new things, because based on the attributes of scientists are curious, they are observant, they observe using their senses, they observe, they ask questions, and they are very, very careful when reporting. So as a science student, I want you to take up and adopt these characteristics. So let's go to our questions under this topic. I'll give you time to go through the questions, after which we'll solve it together. Welcome back to the correction of the classwork that was given to you. How is an hypothesis different from a theory or law? Just like I said, an hypothesis is a reasonable guess that has not been subjected to experiment, and it is different from theory or law. A theory is the principle, or is a statement, established fact that is coined out after carrying out or subjecting hypothesis to experiment. And a law is even more advanced than the theory. Is the statement is an explanation that is derived from the theory after carrying out series of experiments or subjecting the theory to series of experiments. We get a law. So we can see that we get hypothesis first, followed by theory, then theory. After the theory, we get the law or principle. Now, can a theory be derived from a law, or is the opposite true? A theory can be, it is a law that can be derived from a theory, and not a theory from the law. Now, let's look at number 3. How do scientists develop theories? They observe problems, ask questions, formulate hypotheses, subject the hypothesis to experiment, and carry out analysis on their results. Then they report well and draw conclusion. And then from there, they get their theories and communicate their theories to other scientists in the world, which is developed upon to get the principle. Number 4, why is hypothesis the most important of all the scientific methods? Hypothesis is the most important because if the hypothesis is wrong, the theory will be wrong. Even the results or experiments will not correlate with the hypothesis. So the hypothesis determines the experiments that we are going to carry out as a scientist. So hypothesis really matters. What we get on for the hypothesis is what will be used to design an experiment, and that is what the theory will be based on. So I hope with this explanation, I've been able to clarify the difference between laws and theories, and you also learned here that as a science student, you must be able to write your report or results well when you are taking measurements. Watch out for the next topic under this Chemistry Revision class, which is brought to you by IOTA virtual learning platform. I will advise you to continue to treat past questions. These topics are coined out from, they are well selected from the WAEC syllabus, and the questions here too are extracted from WAEC questions. So expose yourself to more of WAEC questions. You can go to my school gist platform and then get WAEC chemistry past question, or WAEC online website. We have series of past questions there on both practicals and theories that you can use to practice, and as you do this, you will get the best results. And I want to appreciate your effort in paying attention till the end of the class. Thank you. See you next time.